Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beginnings, the show that asks, where do creative people come from? My name's Andy. I'm the host of the show and a writer and performer based in Los Angeles, California. Of course, I'm recording this late at night. Of course, Naomi is asleep in the room next door, so if I am quiet, it is only so I do not wake my wife up. Where's Mabel, you might ask? Oh, why, she's hospitalized overnight because she has anemia, ? She might have a UTI that traveled up to her kidney, which is treatable with antibiotics, that then threw her immune system out of order. Don't worry, listeners, she is thriving in the hospital. She is not in any danger as far as we have been told by the doctors, so you don't have to worry about her. You do have to worry about our bank accounts. Because we looked at that bill and we said, well, I guess we don't have to go on vacation or buy groceries. I guess there's a potato sack or two in the back that we can fashion into clothing. Anyway, how are you this week? What an episode. I gotta tell you, folks, I am talking to today Zach and Jeffrey from the comedy sketch video directing duo called Fatal Farm. And if you do not know who Fatal Farm is, why, I'm going to tell you their bio right now. Writers and directors Zachary Johnson and Jeffrey Max grew up in Dallas, Texas, and became interested in film in high school. Eventually moving to LA, the two began to make videos together in the early days of YouTube, calling themselves Fatal Farm. Their work included the live-action Garfield series Lasagna Cat, as well as Infinite Solutions and alternate TV intros. Besides being incredibly funny, Fatal Farm also has a technical expertise that was missing from a lot of internet videos, then and now, and this allowed them to build a name for themselves as in-demand commercial and sketch comedy producers, working with everyone from The Lonely Island to Key and Peele, Adult Swim, I Think You Should Leave, and many others. Folks, I cannot overstate how influential Jeffrey and Zach's work was on me. I mean, still is. I was watching some of their Lasagna Cat stuff the other day, and it's still amazing. But when I was in grad school and just pining in the back of my head to be doing comedy for real, there were a handful of people who were doing what I imagined I wanted to do. Zach and Jeffrey, Fatal Farm, Jason Woliner, who at the time was making videos online that were incredible, Nick Weiger at Funny or Die. This is a little bit later, but Nick Weiger, who you might know from the Doughboys, made one of the best videos, comedy videos I've ever seen. You can look it up, Gungan Style. I also watched that again the other day, and it still holds up. But there were a bunch of people who were kind of carrying on the spirit of sketch comedy in the late 90s into this new era. Like Mr. Show and Upright Citizens Brigade and Kids in the Hall, taking that spirit into a new direction. And Zach and Jeffrey were on the forefront of that. And I've talked to Nick on the show before when I first moved to LA. When I got my first job in 2013, there were a couple people I looked up immediately. Nick Weiger was on the show then. Jason Woliner was on the show then. But Jeffrey and Zach have been elusive, and I finally got in touch with them. And I'm so glad I did, because it was just a joy to talk to them both. I won't spoil any of the stuff, because there's some very, I would say, surprising things from their high school years that I was flabbergasted at hearing. And I want you to have the same experience that I have. So strap in, folks, because this is a joy. Very quickly, though, coming up on the show in the next month or so, John Flansburgh of They Might Be Giants, John McIntyre from Tortoise. Who else? Oh, I just talked to writer and director Josh Margolin. He wrote and directed one of my favorite films of 2024, Thelma. If you haven't seen it, I believe it's on Hulu now. You gotta watch it. It's fantastic. We had a very good talk. So stay tuned for those. But for now, let's talk to Jeffrey and Zach. Jeffrey Epstein jokes. Now the next hour is just all the impact that he's had in turning the world, him and the whole entire ruling class that supported him and built
The
him.
Epstein class.
The Epstein
they're
class.
being called now.
Yeah, into the disgusting world we inhabit and try to make fun of. Mm-hmm. But wait, because I almost never have two people on at the same time. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves just so that people can tell your voices apart?
Okay.
Sure. I'm Jeffrey Max, and I'm one half of Fatal Farm.
I'm Zachary Johnson, the other half. Yeah. And I don't know what further. I don't know if we should start including CV aspects to our intro, or that's part of the road ahead of us here.
We're going to do icebreakers. So We'll start with, where's the first place you got drunk?
I don't know that answer.
I do, actually.
You do?
I remember when I was not a drinker. I didn't drink like in college or in high school or anything. I was very, very responsible. I've since become irresponsible. But I remember when I turned 21, I went to Greenblatt's Deli and bought myself a bottle of wine and drank the entirety of it by myself to try to figure out experimentally what being drunk was like. And so it was on the floor of my apartment, my studio apartment, that's now just north of the Line Hotel in Los Angeles. But yeah, it was my 21st birthday. I ate a roast beef sandwich and drank a bottle of red wine. That was a nice bottle, which is a dorky thing to do. It's a real felt like I don't know. When I heard stories about Birthright, that sounds like what I was doing. I remember just kids in my high school explaining getting drunk on that tour. It felt like that. Like it was really sanitary, my first drinking experience. Although I was a little overwhelmed. I hiccuped a lot. I remember that.
Like a 1930s cartoon?
Yes, just like a cartoon, which I found I was, of sound enough mind to find amusing. Even in a drunk state.
Did you see something, like hallucinate something and then rub your eyes and then throw the wine bottle behind you also?
I did not do that. No, it was hiccuping, and I remember being pretty overwhelmed by having pretty much been dry my whole life outside of, Catholic mass sips of Christ blood. And then I had a whole bottle of red wine one night. And that was a lot. I think now I could probably just drink a bottle of red wine and be on my merry way. But at 21, that really knocked my ass out. A lot of hiccuping, and then probably just sleeping on a couch by myself.
I did not expect that joke to actually yield such rich information, because there's so much
genuine answer for my first time being drunk. I can pin it down to my birthday. Legally. I did it legally.
I just want to note so much that was there. Was the good boy, the fact that you spent your 21st birthday seemingly alone, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Los Angeles Catholic stuff, that's
okay.
I want to hit all of these things.
There's a lot of biographical and formative information in that story.
Yeah, because I'm going to say this. You for being early internet people, you guys are ghosts online, as far as I can find.
There's not a lot out there. Yeah,
this is true.
Yeah, I think we're
okay.
Yeah, I think we just go under the radar, and we're not like, I don't know. We're bad. I feel like, I feel this way about myself. I'm speaking for that, but I feel like we're both uncomfortable by the idea of self-promotion, which is rewarded online and in our current media landscape. And so when you don't do it, you just kind of like slip into the shadows a little bit.
I think to not, I didn't mean for this, my drunk story to be a launch pad, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of what we do is explores like naughty stuff, particularly in the early days. And I feel like I don't want my mom to find it, and I think that has a lot to do with the lack of online presence. Like I don't have social media and stuff because I don't want to be, I don't want to be caught
Yeah.
being baughty. And
I think also,
so much of our stuff is, and like I think it's a liability, like familially. Yeah, so it has a lot to do with it. Like I don't know, when we do like dick and poop jokes, like I don't want. I'm worried about putting my name attached to it. I think that part might have something to do with us having the Fatal Farm moniker, but it's probably a enormous career hindrance.
But even in such a depraved society as ours, the fact that like
I'm loosening it up, and I've now have a somewhat of an online presence. I haven't expanded it to. I haven't released the gates of privacy on all of it, but I probably should. Jeffrey's a little bit more online than me.
yeah, I've kind of backed away from it over the years as tech companies have become more predatory. But yeah, I think also part of it, like a lot of our early internet work was created with the intent to mislead, and so we were trying to like purposefully hide our identities at times, especially with like Infinite Solutions and like to a degree Lasagna Cat, I suppose. Like, so I think there was like inherently this idea that we were kind of, but the people who wanted to find us we weren't like hiding that
sure
that much.
I think there was also the perception early on that, like, I mean, early YouTube, when I mean, like Charles Trippy and Nultz, and stuff were like our contemporaries or peers when we were first starting out, and we met them early on. And I think there was a sense that we didn't want to be a vlogger personality, and so we tried to put up a like a name between. We didn't want to be associated with a, hey everybody, good morning, like whatever. And I think that we got too reluctant to loosen that up, the formal aspect of that up when social media became prevalent.
Yeah, I get it. I was in a sketch duo for a long time called Wrestling Team, and we called ourselves Neo Vaudevillians. We put up so many barriers between who we are as human beings and the audience that it made it almost impossible to connect with us in any actual way. And the sketches were so dense. It was basically like, hey, there was one time I remember we did a show where it didn't go very well. And afterwards, I was like, instead of saying like, oh, hey, maybe we should simplify or maybe we should be a little more present and connect with the audience, I was like, what if at the end of it, we handed out like a sheet of references that we made during this? That way people could get it after the fact. Because that's what you want, definitely, right? You want someone to laugh on their way home as they're reading something, not in front of you.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's a choice.
The joke is always better if you have to explain it well after it's completed. Yeah.
100%. That is, if the joke isn't completed when someone's on their way home on the A train,
that's that.
It's not, is it a joke at all?
No.
Yeah. But I think, so this is what I'm curious about, because for me at the time, this is me pre-therapy, it was more about hiding myself and about also not wanting to I really hate the feeling of a joke bombing because I hate the feeling of, oh, I was responsible for that.
I think there's definitely some of that. Yeah, I think both of the things that you have overcome post therapy, I've not overcome yet, and probably contributes to ghostum still. I can't speak for Jeffrey, but
well, I mean, part of like what we've experienced, especially like being online early and like being there at the beginning of YouTube and like watching the entire evolution of social media. I mean, I had a Friendster account in college that more, like I've seen the entire run of social media. And so, yeah, I understand the like complications with putting yourself out there or creating an internet persona. It's you make yourself really vulnerable, and you do if you decide like, hey, I think I'm funny, I want to show everyone how funny I am. You There's a
Yeah.
little bit of leaving yourself exposed in that situation. And so
Yeah.
I think, yeah, to put up those barriers makes it safer.
You reminded me about, yeah, just now, Friendster and MySpace preceding, Facebook and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else. And I think just being there and participating in those was like, no, no, this is not anything. This is only a problem. And then it snuck up and actually became
Oh,
relevant professionally.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise. And I think, yeah, there was like some Boy Who Cried Wolf stuff, and we never Facebooked or Instagrammed that hard because we thought we were better than that due to Friendster and MySpace, but it got some, it, it became relevant. And we noped out a little too early, I guess.
Well, this is what I think is interesting is that I think we're around the same age and that we grew up, but in one paradigm, and then the paradigm kind of changed. Like the 90s were very like irony heavy. Like to me, like the comedy that really for me was like Mr. Show and the Upright Citizens Brigade show and Strangers with Candy. And all of that stuff was like very like strange and ironic. And then things shifted to be very personal and very honest, or at least like, putting who you are, like Jeffrey used the word vulnerable, right? It switched. And now I'm personally stuck between these two chairs where now I'm a little too vulnerable and open for the weirdos and a little too weird for the vulnies. So
Okay. Yeah.
I'm curious if you two both, if you saw that, or is that something that you've had to deal with in terms of like, just like also like becoming an adult, like being an adult.
Yeah.
Now I become more like open and honest where like, my friends' language when I was a kid was Simpsons quotes. And now we have to like talk about like parents dying. And so like, it's had to change.
Yeah, no, what you said totally resonates, and it's I think, and again, I can speak for myself. I feel totally stuck in the irony, a thing, and not willing to be vulnerable. That goes to not having social media accounts and not taking down the barriers. And I think it's also been a little bit of a hang up for us transitioning into longer form media because it's really hard to sustain the irony for at episodic, not to mention feature length, and to move on to beyond online and short form content, you kind of have to tell a story, and I'm not sure I'm willing to tell stories that are personal.
Yeah.
So I feel very much stuck in that Mr. Show era of things, to the detriment of yeah, of maturity, career and personal.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think for me, like the same thing resonates, and I've had to make some of those adjustments. And yeah, you I think it's just like life experience when you're like 20 years old and you're like you don't really know too much, or you just haven't experienced that much. And so the types of things that you find funny are rooted in maybe concepts a little more than they are in reality. And that might just be the trajectory that we're experiencing. And that might not be limited to the period in time that we're talking about. That might just be the evolution of any artist. If you look at musicians or painters or whatever, you see a lot of irreverence maybe early on in their careers that morphs into something that has maybe more of a message. And so yeah, I think we're struggling with that, like the way anyone would. But yeah, I mean, I think it's perceptive uh, and true. And I think it probably is rooted in our specific version of it is rooted in that what you were talking about, the 90s, but also, like, I look back on the 90s and I think, oh wow, what a quaint time, what a sincere you know what I mean, compared to now, like
Sure.
everything seems so like, yeah, I don't know, I think it's like really difficult to place yourself in a moment when it's happening, and so it's easier to identify things in hindsight. I mean, there's a number of sayings about that.
Yeah.
So
Wait, what's wrong with 2026 that you might have nostalgia for, let's say 1995?
there's a couple things. I don't want I don't want
Not
to
just
bring
a
the
couple.
mood
Yeah,
down.
honestly, just a couple, just one or two. Like, it's not a wholesale societal problem. Yeah, you're right. Just one or two things.
It is like truly fascinating. Again, especially being like very online people, and like just you like, speaking of those problems, like tracking them through media, and like and paying attention to how things are going, and not thinking of something as like I mean, being like an edgy 26-year-old and thinking like, oh yeah, what's going on 4chan, and then like that knocking over the dominoes meme of that, like collapsing a world order is shocking. But it seems like that's what's happened.
Yeah.
I feel like we missed some dominoes. I feel like there was a rug pull in the last couple years. As
Probably, yeah, for
ridiculous
sure.
as 2016 was, I don't think I was mentally prepared for 2024 onward. Yeah, anyway, sorry. I didn't see the trajectory to 2026. I saw it through about 2023, and then I lost the narrative. I'm like, I don't even understand this now.
See, my parents were preparing me for this all from an early age. So I've spent my entire life just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Okay.
And
I thought
so
it had dropped, and then like a shoe truck got like capsized on the freeway.
and then a plane full of shoes crashed
Right,
into
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I thought we were done dropping shoes, and then surprise.
No. It's like in Magnolia when the frogs rain down, but it's just shoes now. Yeah. Are you guys from Los Angeles?
No.
We are from Dallas, Texas, and we went to all boys preparatory school, uniformed preparatory school together for middle school and high school, and that's where we know each other from.
Yeah.
Wait. For some reason, I just assumed, again, because there's no information about you, so I created a story in my head, which was that you just met out here. So wait, you guys know each other from childhood?
Yeah.
We know each other from like pubescence. I wouldn't say childhood necessarily. We knew each other for like 15 on or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were in North Texas. It was novel. I mean, you got to go back to the 90s for this to be novel. We like wanted to get into filmmaking, and like we were literally like one of three or four people in our 2 years of schooling that was interested in that, and so we just kind of gravitated towards each other. It's kind of like the AV club. Now I would assume half of any graduating class has some aspirations for entertainment, because I'm just saying that based off of my cousins and nephews and nieces and seeing it. But like in North Texas in the late 90s, that was unique enough to steer us into a friendship that has persisted, whereas now it's banal and obvious to want to go into media.
Maybe.
Okay.
To go into like to making shitty things on your phone, to go into like, maybe it's like,
that's
it's like
what we
ubiquitous. But no, but I'm saying like the version now is like someone being like, filming themselves being like, this is terrible. And as opposed to like, I see very little, and maybe it's just not being fed into my algorithm, but I see very little like creative work, people like writing jokes or people writing things as opposed to just kind of like talking off the cuff, or like there's a new genre of They just take someone else's video and then they like superimpose
reaction
themselves. Yeah, they superimpose themselves and just like make a look. And I'm just like, so now we are now it's just like someone raising an eyebrow. That
Who
is
do you have to thank for that, Jeffrey? What's the?
Oh, right. The original reaction guys that tried to like, I think they tried to like sue
Fine
people.
Brothers.
The Fine Brothers, I think, were groundbreakers when it came to
Speaking of early YouTube, you can
to
play
react videos. It would be like grandmas react to
Yeah.
rap music or whatever, whatever and they, I think they were like pretty instrumental in creating that genre, which has, as you said, overtaken a lot of YouTube. I think it's because it's so low effort and
yeah.
YouTube. You mean TikTok? You're a grandpa.
well, okay, TikTok. I refused to get onto TikTok, and so I do probably sound like a grandpa because I've seen too much, and I'm like, I gotta stop it somewhere. I don't want to go down this. Also, like, I'm pretty sure like everyone I've talked to who's used it says it's like designed to be addictive, which is worrying.
I just primarily consume content on my laptop still. Like I don't use
So,
my
yeah,
phone as a
same.
content device. Really, I just use it for. I mean, I pass the time playing solitaire or whatever on my phone, and like TikTok's vertical aspect ratio. So I just nope. It's
Yeah.
I'm able to maintain disinterest pretty easily.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
pretty.
Often sent links nonetheless.
Yeah.
No, I think we always look back to like there was I think the decision when specifically because we were on YouTube early and pre TikTok, pre any of these video sites or whatever, like we I think for me, like the decision that YouTube made to monetize content, or how they decided to monetize content, I think really was a hard fork in the road in terms of like what type of content would then start getting created for the platform. And I think it was pretty much like a death knell for the type of like experimental or creative, as you said, like short form content that I think we initially saw the potential for. I think even for us, like, once that kind of like took over the platform and changed the way things could get noticed, it shifted the type of content you saw.
Yeah. But like back in the 90s when you first got interested, this is the thing that I was thinking of in my head as a parenthetical, was when pre-internet or pre like the way the internet is now, right? What people were influenced by mainly were films and TV, right? So there's a certain kind of like, for a lot of filmmakers or people making stuff like yourselves, right? There's a certain like, you want a cinematic quality. You want it to look like one of the things that like your stuff looks good, right? Like I know that's why I was drawn to it initially, where I'm just like, oh, you can make something quality that looks good and is really funny at the same time. And
yeah, always something that we tried really hard to do.
well, you did, right? And then you have people now who, again, like I don't want to say like, oh, everything's bad, because it's not. There's a lot of really funny people making things, but also a lot of people are just influenced by, again, what I watched a bunch of reaction videos, so I'm just going to make a reaction video. As in my mind, I'm like, you guys watched like Slacker, and we're just like, oh, Texas Linklater, we're going to do something like that, whatever, right? I guess that was what my question was, like, what did you watch that inspired you? Like, we want to be like this.
Well, I think one of the things of you picking up on production value is very important to us, because we wanted to transition into a, old economy filmmaking career, and we didn't want to be like one of the new kids, but we saw this new kid platform as a means of getting, it was very calculated and targeted. Like we want to, let's make sure that our stuff looks better so that we can get, we can elevate, not realizing that the touch tone that we were using would be bigger than the thing that we were jumping to eventually. And we just kind of looked at what's working, and some of the early stuff that we clued in on was we got off of like E-Bombs World, and that was the specifically the GI Joe PSAs
Uh-huh.
really informed a lot of what we did. I think because we were like, this is working, and I think that you can see the influence of that and our TV intros and Lasagna Cat,
Hmm.
just using nostalgia and episodic creation.
Yeah.
When I was very, very young, I thought I wanted to work in animation in some form. I loved, like, I mean, as absurd as it is to say this, I really loved cartoons. I loved, just traditional 2D animation. And it quickly became apparent to me that I didn't have the patience or the initial skill set to foster that. I mean, I did stay interested. It's funny that like we ended up working as animators a lot in our careers using like computer tools and learning computer animation, um, because like it became clear to me that I did have a passion for that, but I just didn't have the patience to learn how to draw really. But like yeah, early, like when I was like very young, but then um, yeah, just watching movies growing up. I mean, uh, you started to see that like filmmaking was a way to bring together every art form at once and create, you know.
Specifically your tastes. I don't want to like put you on the spot, Jeffrey. I feel like
Yeah.
your tastes were much more Criterion than mine.
Sure, sure, but I do think we like share a love for action films. There's a
That's
there's
how
an
I was going to differentiate us for
but
this
there's an intersection because
conversation.
RoboCop is a Criterion film. So
Okay,
like
all
there,
right. Well, I meant more like 400 Blows is a Jeffrey film,
yeah, I do enjoy.
and Blade is a Zach film. But like, I think, yeah, I think I was really interested in the technical, like gun fetishism, like hormonal teenager. Like I would watch just Bruckheimer films and John Woo movies, and like I would make compilation, like really just, and like I in retrospect cringe at how like mauled sword buying I must have been as a teenager, but like that also was like oh my god, if when I was 14, if I could just run around dual wielding Uzis or whatever, that'd be the coolest thing in the world. And that I think has paid off some dividends because I've gotten to do that kind of in some of the stuff we've done, but I do it more as a send up. And I think ridiculing how because now I really grown at as I said gun fetishism, and I'm trying to like make lampoon it more. But we've gotten to do that a couple times, like with the RoboCop thing we did, and Crash more. That was a sketch for I think you should leave, but like yeah, I don't take it seriously, like Equilibrium. But like I think there's still more room for I don't know, I guess Sisu or something like that, where it's silly. Is that how you pronounce it?
I I have no idea. We watched. I want to go back and watch it, but we started watching it, and my wife was like, "Does the does that dog make it through? I don't think so." And so we stopped watching it because neither of us wanted to see a dog get killed.
That's fair. That's fair.
Eventually, I'll go back and see it.
It's like John Wick. It dies in John Wick. The dog dies in John Wick. But that also like gives John Wick carte blanche to do anything, and the filmmakers to do anything in the movie. I remember I was late on John Wick. Speaking of gun fetishism, that's like the pinnacle, representation of it. But I just remember I watched John Wick on a plane after like the third one had come out, and I saw the dog die, and like I was laughing so hard because I saw that as a filmmaker of like what a cheat code that was for how awful the movie could become in
Yeah,
its violence level. I'm like, this is so manipulative. Anyway, I so I think that they're in this sense. I still would like to do an action movie where like it almost deconstructs like I don't know. I think I'm interested. We're interested in sending up tropes or commenting on or satirically representing things.
Yeah.
I think there's also a patience we have with the form that a lot of people in comedy don't have, and that's benefited us. A lot of times when we worked with other comic entities, more higher up the ladder than us, a lot of times we're given stuff that they don't have the patience to do because it's technical, and action is very technical, and so it also I don't know. I'm just kind of wandering around.
Well, I mean, I really want to go back to Dallas because I'm curious what it was like growing up there. Are you both Catholic? Are you both?
And I'm not. I grew up in a Jewish family.
Uh huh.
And
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Dallas. I was born in Houston, but yeah, moved to Dallas. My family moved a few months after I was born, and so, but I grew up entirely there. Um, I think Zach, you guys moved to Dallas.
Yeah, but I mean, all my recollection of childhood is Dallas. I
Yeah,
was in. I had a brief stint in Michigan, but I mean, it was pre K, so it
yeah,
doesn't really matter for anything. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I had a very. I didn't have like a oppressively conservative upbringing or something like that. Like it's not. I just had a very. I had a very Leave It to Beaver. Like there's no skeletons and in the closet, and you know my mom and dad didn't curse, and like if I would rent a movie and there was a lot of F words in it, they would like shake their head and leave the room. And like it really like made it difficult for me to be like, oh, I want to, like blow off a lot of penises on a RoboCop parody. Like it really, that I'm being sincere. I say it's one of the reasons like I possibly we don't have an online presence. It's like I don't want my mom to find this stuff. Not because like I'm gonna be excommunicated from the family, but I think she'll be like, oh, and just be disappointed, and it'll bum me out because she's she's a really good woman, and I'm not as Leave It to Beaver. But lately, she's it seems like in her late age, I don't know what's going on, but she's really loosened up, and I think now I'm starting. The other like a couple weeks ago, she started describing a comedy special she watched. And the more she described it, the more I realized she was referring to Anthony Jeselnik. Are you fucking serious? You can't possibly mean Anthony Jeselnik. And then I started like saying, "Was there a joke about?" And she's like, "Yes." I'm like, "So I don't know I don't know if she's got a brain trauma. I don't know if we need to get her to the doctor or whatever." But she's
Zachary, have you heard of this Sam Kinison?
yeah, that's what's going on right now with my mom. And I remember, yeah, but I went to church every Sunday until I was supposed to be confirmed. And if you're Catholic, that's the point at which it's kind of like your Catholic bar mitzvah. It's not as big a deal,
oh
but
yeah,
it's when you decide as an adult that you're going to stay with the church. And my and dad were like, you can decide. And I was like, so I can decide not to go to church anymore, and I could just stay home on Sunday and play Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm like, I'm out. And I think, yeah. So that was it. And they did, and they were fine with that. But I
They
think
were actually cool
disappointed.
with it, or they were just
They were
like,
disappointed, but they
okay,
were disappointed, I'm sure. But that's, as I said, they're like, it wasn't an oppressive regime of Christianity or anything like that. But it was, I think, like a good one, as good as you can, as what you'd hope, as what all the bad Christians say. I'm a Christian person, meaning to represent how they are. I think my parents were. And
yeah.
I think it bummed them out that I didn't follow with it. But man, Sonic the Hedgehog is a way better way to spend Sunday morning, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, my mom's loosening it up now, and I think probably ought to get an Instagram and do some self promotion. But
I think we,
yeah,
yeah.
it was. I don't know that Dallas really had a vibe. Looking back on it, there was some utility in being in Dallas. I don't know how I'd grow up in Los Angeles, just like in terms of parking and bicycles and friends' yards. Like there's so much of like a Tom Sawyer life that I don't know. Maybe it doesn't exist anymore in Dallas anymore either. But like, I mean, just like riding your bicycle to your friend's house and playing in a creek, which I appreciate having. But I might be remembering the 80s and 90s and not necessarily Dallas. But so that's unique. Like I feel like I feel I'm nostalgic for Stranger Things when I watch it because that looks like how I grew up. And looking around in LA, I can't imagine growing up here because I just can't. I don't think it would look like that. It would look like, I guess, a different movie. It would look like Fast Times or something.
I guess it depends.
Where are you from? Where are you from, Andy?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So like cricks and
Cricks,
forests and
yeah.
running around with your friends and all that stuff. That makes sense to me.
I contemplated saying crick, but didn't because we never said crick. But I know that was the right terminology to use in that moment.
I mean, I say creek, so, but like,
Okay.
as I'll slip
crick
into
a
it.
corruption of creek, or is it
Yeah.
a different word entirely? Okay.
No, it's just a corruption. I mean, there was a creek at the base of the neighborhood we moved to when I was 14, and there was like a little swan that lived there, and you know, it was cute.
Well,
And-
there's a creek near my house, and I used my Typhoon hovercraft on it. Do you remember the Typhoon hovercraft
Yeah,
by
I,
Tyco?
yeah.
I only got to use it in my grandmother's pool, but
It was
I
cool.
did. That was
It
a cool.
sweet. Yeah, the battery didn't last very long.
No, it didn't.
all,
Yeah,
but
you
that
had
was
to
sweet.
recharge it frequently.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Glad we brought up Typhoon hovercraft.
Typhoon, Tycho Typhoon.
That was a really cool toy.
It was. I was the. Also, my grandparents had marble floors, and it could go on those
Oh,
too.
Yeah. It
And
was really sick on linoleum.
they had like
And-
stairs, and I would set up jumps, and I think I popped one of the. I had to get a replacement for the.
Did you have
the hovercraft part.
the large black one or the mini?
I think I had the large one.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Cool.
yeah, that was a cool toy. Yeah, my
marble floors.
Yeah, my grandparents, my grandparents, who I lived with for a while after my parents got divorced, and my mom, we moved in with my grandparents, and they had a very strangely extravagant. Like people would go in and describe it as like a cokehead's dream. I don't know. It was my
Yeah. It really felt like
yeah. Zach's been
That's
in
how I
there.
would describe it. Yeah. I'm one of the people that described it.
Probably,
It seemed
yeah,
like-
yeah.
It seemed like a Coke dealer, like a Coke middle guy from like a Miami Vice villain. There'd be a shootout at Jeffrey's grandparents' house.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Like
pictured?
Glass blocks and
Yeah.
Neon trim lighting on the like
It
at
was
the
cool.
ceiling. It was yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop, the at the end where they have that shootout.
I need to review that.
Yeah, I'm not
Probably.
immediately familiar. Yeah,
Probably.
I mean, I think
Recently reviewed
yeah,
the Serge scenes in all of the Beverly Hills Cops, but I didn't review the shootout.
it was very of its time and place. I haven't been back there in a while, so I don't know how it's held up. But yeah, marble floors were certainly a choice that they.
Why? Okay, so your grandparents, who I assume were born somewhere in the 30s, right,
yeah.
somewhere around there. Why do they have a cokehead's dream of a house in the 80s and 90s?
I think my grandfather really liked the like cokehead aesthetic. There's a really funny anecdote of he got a necklace in like the late 70s that was like a gold, like it was a gold chain with like a gold razor blade like
What?
on the end, like as a charm on the necklace. And he got stopped at an airport because then they brought him into a room and like questioned him because they thought he was like a coke dealer the way he was. He also had a really deep love for like cowboy boots, and so he that's all he wore.
Jeffrey is just now realizing that his grandfather
Was a coke dealer.
in fact, a coke dealer.
Straight up
Did he have
I
a
don't think he
really
was.
long pinky nail?
He didn't have that, but he had a pinky ring. He dressed and enjoyed the aesthetics of like 80s Coke guy, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
It's a cool aesthetic.
It is a cool aesthetic.
It really is cool.
Like,
I
you
mean,
can't really argue with
and
it because
I mean, it's still cool because like that's what the influencer house is now. Like, I mean, it's just like that's the you know the big white interior, like it, you know, like
yeah, it's just a modern version of that.
railless staircase, like floating stairs. Like it still exists as an aspirational masculine, you know, acquisition. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
He
can't.
just timed it. He bought a home in like '84 when that was
Yeah,
hot shit
yeah.
home to buy.
Yeah,
Probably.
well, they built it. Like my grandparents,
Shit.
yeah,
They're responsible.
they're
for that?
responsible for it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's not that they just bought it.
Okay.
He designed a
That's
lot of
cool.
that. So
Your grandfather was a coke dealer, Jeffrey.
they had the
Was.
yeah the bathroom off the living room, like the powder room, was like black walls. It had a black toilet. It was
What?
great. Yeah, it was a crazy
So
house.
you don't lose any of your coke when you're snorting it off of the toilet seat, man.
I
Grandfather was way into coke.
guess I don't know. Maybe he wasn't. I just don't know this about him, and I like.
Now it's getting sad.
What was his job? International shipping, in quotes?
No, my grandfather, he owned and operated a plant that manufactured a very, very niche specific part of, like car part that eventually became obsolete when chip-resistant paint became more of a thing. But it was the door edge guard, so it was an aftermarket piece that would go on the edge of your door to prevent chipping and like paint, you know, indenting and stuff. And it was one of those things is that where it's like, I guess there's enough of a market for this to like make a lot of money in America, because you don't have to make that much money to be like doing really well in that time. And with something at that scale, there's cars everywhere. He was able to run a plant, and that's what they made. But yeah, I don't think those are you don't see them on cars anymore, because I think paint composites have gotten better. Car paint is better.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. But also, that is so old school. Hey, we make this one thing that in this one factory that's needed everywhere. Like someone my wife grew up with, like made like their money on like silly straws or something like that. I forget exactly what it is, but it was like one thing. There's only one manufacturer of silly straws in the United States. And they are now wealthy enough to go to a private school in New York, or their kids. Yeah,
I think that was it. My mom's side of my family is all from Michigan. So in the 80s, he moved his business. He saw the impending implosion of Detroit and moved his business to Texas. And it stayed there for, another 40 years.
Zach, what did your parents do for a living?
My mom was a homemaker, and my dad worked. He worked at TI, Texas Instruments, for a little bit through the halt and catch fire era of Texas. Because my mom really enjoyed watching that show and would say, "Oh, that's just like what Daddy did." He's passed, and then he worked at Ross Perot's company after that. So he had some very very classically Texas. He's got his resume is very very of the moment and telecom and tech North Texas.
Yeah.
Texas
also
Instruments and Ross Perot.
The nexus of history. Like he's there for like he's part of the birthing of the 21st century.
He's much older. I have siblings that are much older than me. My sister is as old as Jeffrey's mom, I'm pretty sure. So also, like, I think he was before that flirting with like Los Alamos, because he's like a nuclear physicist. So
wait,
also
sorry, what?
My mom, when Oppenheimer came out, knew one of the characters. I can't remember. She's like, I remember him. And I remember it was a guy. Who's the guy with the really thick eyebrows? The actor. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Not Benny Safdie?
Yeah, I was going to say, was it the Safdie?
Yeah. I was afraid to say that because I don't want to get that wrong. Yeah, I think my mom.
Who did he play? Like Niels
Benny
Bohr or something like that?
Character that she met. Is that who he played?
For comparison, my grandfather was like close personal friends with a character who was portrayed by Jesse Plemons in The Irishman. So that's more
What?
more evidence of my grandfather being a pretty shady individual, I suppose. But
I think, yeah, because my dad was at Berkeley for his PhD at the time that a lot of the people were like, some of those communist parties that were like documented in Oppenheimer. I think he was my dad's not a communist, like the opposite. I think he was like going before TI, from what I understand, he like went around like find uranium for the atomic program or something. So
Wait, what? Sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't
So
know.
it seems like your family somehow weaved their way throughout the deep history of the 20th century.
It seems, yeah, like American imperialism and the war machine. I don't know, or American dominance. But he didn't, and then at some point, instead of going to Los Alamos, he went to TI. And I remember that was my mom. I didn't really talked about him. I talked about his career with him. But I've been told that there was a turning point at which he could stick like in the, government sector and work at Los Alamos, etc. But that wouldn't provide him as much resources to start and provide for his family. And he pivoted into the private sector and went to like TI, which is probably, I mean, it's for the best for me. But also, I mean, yeah, probably not good to invest all your life into helping the nuclear arms race of the Cold War. It's probably
Sure.
the most morally righteous thing to put on your tombstone.
Yeah. Well, famously, Oppenheimer was not plagued for the rest of his life with guilt.
Yeah.
Wait, Jeffrey,
yeah.
what did your parents do? So we know about your grandparents, but what did your parents do?
My parents are less interesting than my grandfather, I suppose. Not less interesting. That sounds rude, but no, my mom has always worked in the hospitality industry, and restaurants and hotels and things, and about, I want to say like 12 years ago, she started her own business. She was she was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and then instructed to be that, gluten was probably a factor in this. So she became gluten free and started her own business making gluten-free products. And now they have like a 30,000 square foot facility in Dallas where they continue to do that. And so that's what she does. And then my dad was like an electrical engineer for most of my life. And then at some point he pivoted into, I mean, still in that industry, he started doing work for companies that were like transitioning industrial sites or different venues into LED lighting. So changing over from and it'd be like parking lots and warehouse, like huge sites where that needed to get converted because it would save them a lot of money to switch over to LED. So
Yeah. There's no necessity in like what your parents do and then what you do. There's no necessity.
Yeah,
but
no,
I do notice that there are, in both your cases, the ideas of like technical expertise is there in your parents. Entrepreneurship is there in your parents. And I have to assume that some of that flavor gets into both of you.
yeah, I think for sure my mom was a huge advocate in pursuing a dream and supported me through that, where so some of my family didn't understand me wanting to go to film school, didn't see it as a viable career path, didn't see it as a something that would have longevity or that I would even care about 5 years after declaring that's what I wanted to do. So but I think she had a lot of faith early on that I was sincere, and she knew that and she supported it. So yeah, I give her a lot of credit for fostering that in me,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say the same. Each of my siblings has done a very different thing. I got, a doctor, a lawyer. I mean, it doesn't seem like any of us did the family business, so to speak. But I'd also speak for both of us, and I'm pretty confident I can do so, that our high school was very
Yeah.
instrumental in forming us as much as a parental figure. We went to a place that was, I claim, is one of the bases for Rushmore, based on the fact that Owen Wilson went to it for a duration. So I mean, it was a
Oh.
very very small community of very well-to-dos, and it really benefited you to have a thing you're known for. And I think people probably dug in to the benefit of their development and be like, oh, I'm the pianist of my year, I'm the whatever, and they had, the school had the resources to really push you in whatever direction you were interested, and whether that be, politics or engineering or, academia. And I felt very supported in being interested in film, and they were excited because no one was interested in film. And I remember they were just willing to create a film class when there was an expression of interest from me and a couple other people in the surrounding years, Jeffrey included.
Yeah.
So I think the just going to an all boys school with a small graduating class was a pretty big deal to because they were like, oh, this is cool. This is something that maybe we can, claim a alum that had done this,
Oh.
10 years down the road or something like that. Not everybody's going into I don't know, real estate or petroleum. I don't know what the broad graduating, I don't know, what do people dump out into generally if you just went with the flow of things? I don't even know. Probably just law, I'm guessing. A lot of people
Finance. I don't know.
JD's finance. Yeah. I feel like in the
Yeah.
90s, everyone, the I'm running through the motions just went into business finance, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the elite institutions pump people out into a couple of different areas where it's look, this, and maybe you guys have a lot more experience with this being around, but a lot of these folks, but I've noticed that the very wealthy, just being lazy and not doing
Sure.
stuff and
Yeah.
whatever the easiest way to make money is. So it's just oh, politics. Sure, we can pump out a bunch of people into politics, and they can just uh, make bets on Polymarket with insider information and that kind of stuff, right? And or I noticed it was that it's politics, business in general,
Yeah.
whatever that means,
Business,
general business. And then entertainment, the new one that really bums me out was that you started to see people pumped out into entertainment.
Yeah, well, that's what you see in LA. And now that I've been in LA long enough that I've met LA natives, you see it. I mean, it's, obvious. I mean, it's the Nepo baby stuff, but oh, my dad was a, development exec here and, or has this production shingle, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that happens here, but that happened in Texas too, but it's just the law firm or the real estate development firm. But yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
you graduate the path of least resistance for bougie, born on third base, life is in Los Angeles is entertainment, and in Texas it was something else. So, yeah, but yeah, you can be lazy if you've got.
I do think, I mean, outside of similar to what Zach said, for me, I think that school, we're still in touch with a lot of my 25th year high school reunion is in a month or 6 weeks or something. And I'm going to try and go, but the environment of that school was a lot different. It took me a long time. It took me having to meet people in college or even outside of college, to understand that was a very different high school experience or school experience than most people had. But just knowing everyone in your grade, knowing a lot a lot of people just in the school, being in a place that like fostered individuality. I mean, they had very like lofty ambitions, and they're like they wanted to like turn young
It
boys
was a
into
real
men.
Dead Poet Society
Yeah,
shit, man.
it's like
Yeah, it ruined college for me because everyone showed up at college to party, and I was like, "What?" Because I was
yeah, same.
stepping
I
out
did.
of Dead Poet Society. That's why on my 21st birthday I was drinking alone, is because I don't have any friends from college. I mean, I met people and had associates in college, but I keep up with lots of people from my high school, and I don't think there's a single person that I went. There's people I've met that went to my college at the same time I did, and I'm friends with them now, but I didn't. I wasn't. I don't have any friends from college
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it
yeah.
seems like you guys got lucky that this institution seemed like, from the private schools that my friends went to, or other places that were very oppressive. It seems like this was very open in a way
Yeah.
that like allowed you to
Yeah.
become
It was.
creative people.
I think it might have been oppressive for other people, and I think to some extent it like I could see how it would be oppressive, but it was also like it like taught you to just game the system, or like this these are the rules. No, that's not quite right what I meant to say, but it's like these are the rules and this is how you're expected to behave here. Adapt to this. Figure out how to define yourself in these parameters, and like that's been helpful. Like, because now like I'm like, oh, here I am in this place and everyone's behaving this way. Like, it's just made me, I guess it's erased me having a real identity. That's what it's done. It's taught me how to put on fake masks. So I guess that's not the lesson they would want to say that I've learned from it. But I don't know.
No, it's a great lesson.
It was such a defined and aggressive. I don't know. You could get
Yeah.
it was never like this, but like, I mean, I just think of like A Few Good Men getting code redded or something like that. You gotta like behave right. Like, I feel like this is ridiculous, but like I feel like I could, because of that school, I could handle being a Marine Corps. Like, because I could be like, okay, I got to behave this way. Like, I think I could snap into it. And there's so many people that I'm like, why are you acting this way? Anyway, just, I don't know. It shapes you up. Like, shut up,
Yeah.
man. What are you doing? And like, I don't know. But also that's prevented there's a toxic masculinity to that discourages you from being sincere, and that is a crippling growth for my life. So I don't know. Plus
Yeah,
and
there's
minus.
there's some trade-offs, some pros and cons, yeah. For sure. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, but I think just looking,
Reluctance to be vulnerable, lack of sincerity.
yeah, I think also, I mean, like I had a different experience. I think Zach was, I don't know, the in high school, the role you took on was like half class clown, and but also like I think we both did fairly well academically there, and so like, you know, that was always I think what they prioritized the most. And if you were able to do that, there was room for you to kind of, as Zach said, figure out what else you wanted to be. And I think we connected over just like, even back then, just comedy and joking around and screwing around. And there wasn't as much. I don't think they liked fostering screwing around. And so that's where I think we developed maybe the sense of like rebellion or irreverence that carried into our work, because I do think in that environment, while it wasn't as strict as the Marines, there was that thing that Zach's talking about of like, yeah, act right. This is how you behave. And there were times when I felt the most friction when I would just, be like, well, why? What, like, there were moments where it didn't make sense to have to do something that they said. And so that's where we pushed against the authority, I think, a little bit. But overall, like a very like, expansive education that I think, did in a lot of ways, like, create the people that we are now. So I look back on it, and even though I there were times during that period that I was really not happy or hated the school for whatever reason, I can look back on it and see like, oh yeah, it actually did develop me into a lot of things that they were doing on purpose are good things that helped me later in my adult life. So I gotta
Yeah.
give them props for that.
Sure, because again, going back to something you guys said earlier, the idea of patience and discipline, I'm sure have some kind of origins in that in the school.
Absolutely, I feel like particularly we've as I said or alluded to earlier, we've been brought in by a number of people, like whether it's Tim and Eric or the Lonely Island or like Key and Peele, I think you should leave, stuff like that, to like help on their shows. It's always in an assignment, and we're very bookish and homeworky, to probably to the detriment of being because the people that I've met that have been truly entrepreneurial were like all C students and just don't pay attention to the authority, and like I think there's still a sense of do the homework correctly for us that is a liability and prevents us from being perhaps our own auteurs, because I think I'm a better like general than commander in chief, maybe on account of that. I think the Dead Poets Society school teaches you how to be like a really good corporate officer, but maybe not a good CEO, or maybe you need the dropouts to be the CEOs, and then people like us to and I've felt that a lot of times when I've worked with truly creative, like inspirationally funny and wonderful people. I'm like, this person is such a spaz, and they need help like getting their idea out because they don't have the patience or for their own brilliance. And a lot of times, like I feel like our role has been like all our stuff is short form, or like I don't know, but like when we've helped other people, like I'm often very surprised by the lack of patience people that are just brilliant have with their own executing on their own stuff. And I think that we've found that has been a niche, but again, that's not the coolest discovery to make, because that's kind of discovering you're like a really good journeyman director or producer, but you're not an auteur yourself. Still trying to pivot, but I don't know. That's I like when we've been fortunate enough to work with people that are wonderful, and our ability to do homework has certainly been beneficial to us.
Yeah. I don't think you guys are giving yourself enough credit. I know the people that are like you, and I know the people, I'm like somewhere in the middle between like technical expertise and just like my brain just keeps like moving and moving. I'm like smack dab again, falling between two chairs. And so I get where you're coming from, but also like, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit.
Thank you. But, yeah.
I think another thing that's like been just nice about our partnership is that there's room for us to kind of sway back and forth in those roles that Zach's talking about. And I think it's given us the chance to create things that we absolutely wouldn't have done on our own, because I think there's, as I said, there's room for one of us to like buckle down and say like, okay, I'll figure out the technical side of this, or okay, there've been times where like I care more about the aesthetics of something, and so we will take on different roles, and then it bolsters the project, whatever it is that we're working on together, from many different sides. And so I think it creates just stronger work from the two of us. So I think it's been good generally that we're able to do that.
Yeah. The other thing from the school that sparked something in my brain was that I think like the structures that you had to conform to, but that you had to find within those structures what you wanted to do. Or let me see if I can say this in a different way. You had to conform to these structures, but within them you had a certain amount of freedom to do what you wanted to do, or you could figure out how to exploit, I think you said this, Zach, you could figure out how to exploit the structures in order to do what you want to do. That seems like that is almost directly applicable to Hollywood. Like,
absolutely. And I think
at least that's been my experience.
Right. And I think that I took that, like, an exploitation that I discovered at high school was like, you can like make fun of teachers in a video, if you show it in an assembly, and you can like play the role of like, you know, a late night talk show host, and like you can do things and that would get you in trouble if you wrap it in you know, like a short form content. And not only will you get away with it, but they'll like it, and you get encouraged to do more. And like exploitation when we went to YouTube was like just looking around and being like, okay, you can play on nostalgia and make a series like, you know, the Fensler film G.I. Joe PSAs, and that'll get views. Like I think that there's like cheat codes that I was careful to look up. Like I was always, you know, like your grade is based on 20% midterm, 20%, you know, homework, 10% participation, and it's on a curve. And, you know, like I've always been like, okay, well then, you know, all I have to do is do this, and then I don't have to show up for class because like the curve will make up for the lack of participation. Like it's all just like stat maxing. You know, like you're playing like an RPG. Like, and I think that's what the school taught me. And like, I think to some extent, we've just applied that to trying to get into film. But at some point, as I said, I'm going to be hard on myself, and I want to throw Jeffrey under this bus too. But like, at some point, you just need to like be your own voice and not like just, you know, not try to read the code of the matrix in the world, because you're not going to discover anything new. You're only going to, you know, find the path of least resistance. But yeah, I think I said a lot of things there, but yeah, I think there was a lot of like stat maxing. I think that's something that maybe the school was good about teaching me. But it's also been maybe it put a ceiling over my head. I'm thrilled. It was a very high ceiling though, and so it's taken me a while to need to burst through that ceiling. I mean, it put a ceiling over my head, but it put it on like, you know, a 24-foot ceiling, which is an incredible atrium for.
Yeah, it was a gilded cage.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, okay. Is that a term, or did you just say, is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a term.
Just coined that. Oh, okay. Gilded cage.
Now, I'll tell you when I coin a term.
Okay.
Oh, you'll know when I coin a term. I coined one the other day. I think I did. I haven't looked it up. Masticate, which is to. Okay, so this.
I want to know what the Kate is from.
Basically, I only allow myself mozzarella sticks about once a year on my birthday, and my wife took me to get mozzarella sticks. And the place that we usually, House of Pies, they changed basically it's very difficult to get normal mozzarella sticks anymore. Everyone is doing like capitalism has enshittified mozzarella sticks. And so now like they're all doing their own weird things because they're like, and to me, the mozzarella stick was perfect. But now they're like, we got to charge more, and we're doing something weird. Like it's a hunk of panko with some cheese inside. It was disgusting. And so I was like, I made like a short video about this, and about the enshittification of mozzarella sticks. And I was looking up pictures of mozzarella sticks, and I got the only phrase I can really think of is that looking after picture of mozzarella sticks, I can only describe it as being horny for mozzarella sticks. I crave them in such a way that it was like animalistic.
Okay.
It was like midnight. I just had like some vanilla ice cream and pretzels in the house. And so I ate that instead. And that's what I called masticating, which is masturbating and masticate.
Masticate. Okay. I'm too
together
illiterate to have gotten masticate out of that. Okay.
So
okay. All right.
So
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good
I
word.
do that after every hard job. I think my ultimate pleasure is just Grubhub and just
Emotional eating.
yeah emotionally literally
Classic.
after every job delivers, Jeffrey, every commercial we work on,
Yeah.
whatever, like I just get a pizza
Feast.
and insomnia cookies.
Yeah.
Oh my god, insomnia cookies are so good. The salted caramel deluxe.
I recently in the last 6 months found out I have high cholesterol.
That's why I
So
don't go to the doctor.
So I can't.
Yeah, Jeffrey. Just don't
Yeah.
go to the doctor. And you're
I just went for a normal yearly checkup, didn't think anything of it.
I've
And
got
so
some-
now every time I eat like saturated fat, I'm like, oh God, I like so. But yeah, I know what
I never go to
yeah.
a doctor. I haven't been to a doctor in so long. And there's like things wrong with me, you know?
Zach, go to the
I should
doctor.
Deal with it.
Go,
Like
Go,
bumps
please.
on things.
right. Look, this is the end of the show, but like right now, before we go, make an appointment. I want you
I
to
don't
be
have
held
a
accountable.
doctor, though. Like I don't even have a GP. Also, I'm losing my sight. There's
Oh, go to the doc. You're losing your sight.
Do you need reading glasses?
I have
Is that-
I have reading glasses everywhere now, but like I mean, it's come on so precipitously. It's like ludicrous.
It's fast.
Go to the doctor.
Oh God.
I don't think
Make the
I think they
appointment.
just tell. I think they tell you just get reading glasses because everyone's eyes
That's what. Yeah. That's
do that.
No,
kinda what I-
no, Jeffrey,
Well,
don't.
Wait, go, no, yeah, no. You should.
It's fixed.
You should go to the doctor. I'm not saying like I just got my first colonoscopy. So yeah, go to the doctor. You gotta check on those things. But
I've gained a lot of weight and I've been drinking a lot in the last few years, and I feel like I need to like clean up my act before I go to the doctor so I don't get shamed.
No,
It's
no,
like,
no,
you
no.
know how you
No, no, it's-
floss,
it's not-
you floss your teeth for like 3 days before you go to the dentist, or 2 days. Like
I floss my teeth every day.
Good for you. But like I need to do that equivalent thing for my diet before I go to a doctor because it's just too shameful.
yeah,
They're like,
I know what you mean though
what's your
because
diet like? How many drinks do you have in a week? And I was like,
Right.
oh, no, don't ask.
No,
me
Zach,
now.
right now, go look for a doctor.
also it doesn't. You live so close to that Bob Hope,
Yeah.
the UCLA Bob Hope Center or whatever.
Just walk in.
That's
walk
where
into
that's
it.
where I go to the doctor.
You
It's
drive
over
all
by-
the way there. I'm
Yeah.
right there, and I don't go.
Yeah,
That's where you went for. Oh wow. Okay,
that's
really
not. No, I
shakes
had to go to Santa Monica for my colonoscopy.
me. That's so.
Yeah, you got to drive. I mean,
It took me
I
a
don't-
long time to get dentistry back in. And I let things
Yeah.
go
All right.
really bad.
I'm gonna check back in with you in
Make sure he's gone
like
to the doctor.
3 months and just make sure you've gone to the
Oh,
doctor.
man, but when I finally went to the dentist, I had so many cavities, and then I got to do gas for so long, like the nitrous, and that was awesome. Like it was almost worth having as many cavities as I did after like a cessation of dentistry for a decade, just to have that much nitrous. That was rad. Have you had a long nitrous experience?
I don't think I have because
This is fucking rad. you just listen to music and like they're like.
I don't think I've ever been
It's
on
like-
that.
It's
Because
real
like
chill. It's real chill. It's probably just
when they,
being
yeah, they've
sick.
had to put me under to remove my wisdom teeth.
Yeah, but that's full anesthesia.
Full anesthesia. I know. I've never.
Nitrous
I don't
is-
think I've ever
nitrous
had
is just-
nitrous.
It's probably just like I don't smoke marijuana really. I mean I have, but like it's probably like that. It's probably,
Yeah.
It's just like real chill.
You're such a good boy that the only time that you will get high is
What- yeah.
This is
Yeah.
why you've been saving it up so that you could get high at the
subjected
dentist.
myself to like numerous cavities, thousands of dollars of dentistry just so I could get high. And I only drank that bottle of wine when I was 21 and I was legally allowed.
That is real. That is true Catholicism.
Yep. There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bio, 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 bye. Bye, bye. Beginnings. Begin.